The NHL. I think this was really, really fun. It's the classic of, I think with hockey, it's always going to be, Canada versus USA, who's better, what's this? And it was really cool for a lot of reasons, as in I didn't know this until you told me.
I feel like a lot of people, they didn't really advertise
they really didn't.
this for much. But yeah, this replaced their All-Star weekend. This was like, instead of their regular All-Star break where they have some half-assed hockey game and players get recognized, this was competitive. It was, the Four Nations face-off. It was 4 teams. What is it? Like a round-robin tournament is what you would call it?
Yeah, it was like a round-robin, and they got seeded, had like a playoffs, and then had
US,
a championship.
Canada, Finland, and Sweden.
Even though nobody
all of
cared.
NHL players.
Nobody cared about the other countries, though. They even said, like, who did we play before? Nobody knows, right? It was only USA versus Canada.
They knew it was going to be the end, but that was enough. This was second most watched hockey game of this decade, only second to last year's Game 7 in the Stanley Cup. And yeah, replacing the All-Star weekend with this, genius idea.
It was a great idea because I think naturally it's hard not, as a player, it would be hard not to take it serious and like not just think of it as some stupid all-star game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helped it a ton of just the shit talking and the attitude that it brought. The fights
in the first.
How about disrespecting the national anthem?
And there were like however many fights within the first 8 seconds. So that was
so funny.
That was pretty cool. But I mean, I think, and there's been a lot of media surrounding of hockey guys talking about, well, it just means more. And then, they play hurt, they play injured. It's not a sport
that you can half-ass. Like, that's not a sport that you can show
just
up
go
on
out
the
there,
ice and
run around a little bit, take some shots, and
you will get your
call
ass
it a night,
beat.
jump on the plane, and go home.
It was fun, too, to be hanging out with a guy that actually played hockey at West Virginia.
Oh, really?
And he was watching that game. And so sitting there kind of just, talking about some of the, like that first goal, he was talking about how he loved to do that, just the way that they screened. Like, Doss, you did that a lot.
Yeah, it was lacrosse.
It was fun hanging out with somebody that actually knew the sport, knew a lot of guys in the NHL.
It's a great sport.
It really is. And it's, I know I saw so many tweets of like, I've never seen a hockey game in my life, but this shit's awesome. Like, I'm into this.
It did a lot.
Right now.
Like, they grew
but
the game
that was
in a
the
major
USA
way.
Versus Canada of
Yes.
like everything going on in the world.
It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't USA.
We get it in the Olympics next year.
I know. That's what
NHL
I said.
NHL players are allowed to play this time. And first time in a while. I don't remember the last time it was allowed, but I know it's been over a decade.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, the other leagues need to take a lesson from this.
Well, they do.
So I was thinking about this. I don't know how you could truly do this.
NBA is who I'm thinking of, is who could really implement this and do world versus the US.
But at that point, the US is going to win every time.
In the NBA, world might take that. You got Giannis, Jokic, and Giannis. And
I
Jokic
guess
right there
because
alone.
then they're not all on separate teams like the Olympics, to where they're all kind of spread apart.
Or you could do
like how golf does the Ryder Cup, to where it's everyone from different, and then it could
be.
If
you
they do
could
it
do it with the NBA.
But then at that point, though, what do you do to make them care about it? Like, what do you do to build that tradition and build that rivalry that USA Canada has?
Do what MLB does with their All-Star game, and the winner of that game determine. Oh, but no, you can't, because that's their leagues breaking up. Because what MLB does is the winner of that game, they get home field advantage in the championship.
I'm trying to think of how you can truly make it to have that atmosphere of this means a lot.
There's only two sports you could do it in: NHL and NBA. That's it. You couldn't do it in football. Couldn't do it in baseball. I mean, baseball would be what? USA against Japan?
No, you could do it in baseball.
You could definitely do it.
Half the league of MLB are from different countries.
Oh yeah.
So you could do it, but
you could have like.
But
a
it's not
Dominican
about
Republic
doing it.
team
It's about how do you make it matter
for the players.
Like, how do you build that rivalry of, okay, this means something. Like, I take pride in wanting to win this game and be a part of this game. How do you do that the same way that hockey has?
I don't know.
That would be my question.
Hockey is the only one that really has that deeply rooted rivalry
Yes.
between two countries in one sport.
And you've seen it, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we have another opportunity to do this every year now
Yeah.
with this. Not just the Olympics, not just, some of the other stuff they do. Hell yeah. So to me, I don't know what you would have to do.
This may honestly just be the golden goose for the NHL then, and something that just propels them up, because this is something that can't be replicated by any other sport. And I'm all for it because I love hockey.
Oh, yeah.
There is no reason in hell that Atlanta should have gotten rid of their hockey team,
That
years
sucks.
back, because now they're having trouble selling out, half their capacity up in Winnipeg for like Canada needed another hockey team. It's especially in Winnipeg. Atlanta, the Thrashers, some of the coolest jerseys in the NHL back then. They just scrapped them.
I remember going to a couple games.
Oh, it was
but
great.
to me, this is, like you said, it might just be NHL's thing.
And that's
There's
good for them.
There's something about hockey
I love
in
hockey.
Canada. I went to a hockey game in Canada. In
Hockey
Calgary.
game is awesome.
I watched the Calgary. It was a preseason game, Calgary against the San Jose Sharks.
I bet it was
and you'd have
packed
thought
full.
it was absolutely packed.
A
You'd have thought
playoff
it was a
game.
Stanley Cup final. You'd have thought it was Game 7. Those people didn't care that it was
Yep.
preseason. They love their hockey.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it's just like I don't see people booing the NBA or the national anthem at
I
an
feel
NBA
like-
game, and the NBA player, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was like that.
Hockey fandom
It's
and
unique
NBA
to
fandom
hockey.
just isn't the same. And I would argue that we had this discussion talking about basketball in general, sports though in general in the US. It's really it's a luxury to be able to go to the game, and it shouldn't be. Because like you look at sports around the world, like Serbian basketball, I would challenge any of you to go look up a single regular season game for Serbian basketball and tell me that that's not one of the most lively experiences ever. That's what happens when you let diehard fans go to the games. Because now, like, you're pricing tickets up hundreds of bucks. Your real diehard fans that make the team part of their lives aren't going to be able to afford that over and over
Well,
again.
what's funny is it makes me think of I remember reading something and listening to something about when Detroit had their playoff games this year,
Mm-hmm.
or
The
their Lions, and some of their fans were saying, season ticket holders were going, the normal people that made Detroit
Aren't here.
aren't here
Yeah.
because the tickets were too expensive.
Yep.
They couldn't afford it. So the
It's not how
people
it
who
should
were
be.
there, and he was like, I was a season ticket holder. I went every single game. I went there and I was looking around and I was like,
These people are on their phones.
Who what are these people
Yeah,
here
who the hell
for?
are these people?
They don't even know who's playing. They're
It's
just
for
here for the
it's-
beer. They're just here for this.
Those playoff games and those Super Bowls and like championship games are for celebrities, and it's ridiculous. Those games, I argue, should be the cheapest of the season because you're getting so much other money pulled in from having a nationally
Well, that's what they're
televised.
playing for. It's like you
event.
play the regular season for free as a player,
Yeah.
and you get paid to play in the playoffs. Like that's what
But
it
it
should be
just
about.
goes
Those
to
games-
like my example of the people who make that stadium what it was and
Mhm.
how it's like this is what it's like coming into our stadium. They weren't there because they couldn't
Yeah.
afford it.
And that's not to say that those Four Nation tickets weren't
Yeah.
up the ass expensive, but
Yeah.
the diehard fans still showed up.
Yeah.
And that's what could happen in every single one of your games, including regular season, if you just dropped the ticket prices and let go of corporate greed. But that's never going to happen.
No,
So,
it will never
No.
happen.
never going to happen.
It will never happen.